Can 30 mornings really change a life? I committed to a Stoic morning routine for a full month, and what I discovered transformed the way I think about time, focus, and inner peace. For a 4-minute opening, you want to establish both the philosophy and the importance of mornings in a warm, personal way. You can use this script. Before I began this journey, I thought Stoicism was simply about suppressing emotions or acting tough. But the ancient Stoics taught something much deeper. True freedom comes from mastering your own mind. They believed that while we cannot control the world around us, we can always choose our thoughts, our actions, and our response to whatever life brings. The philosophy was practiced by some of history's most remarkable people, including the Roman emperor and philosopher, Marcus Aurelius, who began many of his mornings by reminding himself of the values he wished to live by that day. As I read their writings, one idea kept appearing: the way you start your morning shapes the rest of your day. In those first quiet moments after waking, your mind is clear before the noise of notifications, deadlines, and worries rushes in. The Stoics saw this time as an opportunity, a chance to set your intentions instead of letting circumstances set them for you. Think about your own mornings. How often do they begin in a hurry, with your attention pulled in 10 different directions? Mine certainly did. I would wake up already feeling behind, reacting to the day instead of leading it. That is why I decided to dedicate the next 30 mornings to a Stoic routine. I wanted to see whether a deliberate, mindful start could truly change the quality of my days. Could a few intentional habits create more focus, more peace, and a greater sense of purpose? The Stoics believe that every sunrise offers a new opportunity to practice virtue, gratitude, and self-control. And so, with equal parts curiosity and skepticism, I set out to discover whether these ancient ideas still held power in the modern world. What happened over the next 30 days surprised me in ways I never expected. This should comfortably fill about 4 minutes when spoken naturally with pauses and accompanying visuals. On the very first morning, I kept the routine simple. The Stoics valued consistency over perfection, so I focused on a few deliberate practices rather than trying to change my entire life overnight. I began by waking up 30 minutes earlier than usual. Instead of reaching for my phone, I sat quietly and took a few slow breaths, allowing myself to become fully present. That small pause alone felt surprisingly powerful. It reminded me that I could choose how to begin my day, rather than letting the world choose for me. Next came journaling. Inspired by the reflections of the Stoics, I wrote down 3 things: what I was grateful for, what challenges I might face that day, and how I wanted to respond to them. Putting my thoughts on paper gave me a sense of clarity and purpose before the day had even begun. After journaling, I planned my day with intention. Rather than making an endless to-do list, I chose the few tasks that truly mattered and committed to doing them with excellence. The Stoics taught that our energy is limited, so it should be spent on what is within our control and aligned with our values. Finally, I spent a few minutes in quiet reflection. Sometimes I simply sat in silence. Other times I read a short passage from a Stoic text and considered how it applied to my life. Those moments of stillness became an anchor, helping me carry a sense of calm and focus into the rest of the day. The entire routine took less than half an hour, yet it felt as though I had already won my first victory of the day. I had chosen to live intentionally, one morning at a time. Of course, the first week wasn't easy. On some mornings, the alarm felt cruel, and the temptation to stay in bed was stronger than my motivation to change. More than once, I caught myself reaching for my phone out of habit before I even realized what I was doing. The hardest part wasn't waking up early, it was slowing down. I was so used to rushing into the day that sitting quietly with my thoughts felt uncomfortable at first. My mind wandered constantly, and I wondered if this experiment was making any difference at all. But that discomfort turned out to be the lesson. The Stoics teach that growth often begins where convenience ends. Instead of judging myself for struggling, I treated each setback as a chance to practice patience and self-discipline. If I missed a step one morning, I simply began again the next day. By the end of that first week, I realized that the routine wasn't about achieving a perfect morning. It was about showing up consistently and learning to guide my attention rather than letting my impulses guide me. In overcoming those small daily challenges, I discovered something powerful. Discipline is not a trait you either have or don't have. It is a skill that grows stronger every time you choose what matters most. By the end of the 30 days, the changes were impossible to ignore. I wasn't suddenly a different person, but I had become a more intentional version of myself. The mornings that once felt rushed and chaotic now felt calm and purposeful. I noticed a new sense of discipline in the way I approached my work and responsibilities. Because I began each day with clarity, it became easier to focus on what truly mattered and to let go of distractions that once consumed my attention. Perhaps the most meaningful change was emotional. Challenges still arose, of course, but I no longer reacted to them with the same frustration or anxiety. The daily habit of reflection had taught me to pause, to examine my thoughts, and to respond with greater wisdom and balance. What surprised me most was how these small, consistent actions created a profound sense of inner peace. The Stoics were right. Lasting change does not come from dramatic transformations, but from the quiet choices we make each day. After 30 mornings, I realized that I had gained something far more valuable than a new routine. I had discovered a calmer, clearer way of living. Remember, you don't have to adopt an entire routine overnight. Choose just one practice, whether it's a few minutes of silence, a brief journal entry, or simply planning your day with intention, and commit to it for 1 week. You may be surprised by how much a single small habit can change the way you think and feel. If you decide to take on the challenge, share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be exactly the inspiration someone else needs to begin their own journey.